What happens when evolution rewrites the rules? Roll the clock back more than 100 million years. The supercontinent Gondwana fractures, a great slab of land slips away. Australia drifts into isolation far enough, long enough that time itself becomes an architect. Cut off from the great migrations of the world, this island continent becomes a living laboratory. No bridges, no back and forth, just life, alone with its experiments. Elsewhere, placental mammals rise to dominate. Zebras stampede, antelope graze, big cats prowl. But here, those familiar players never arrive. A different cast takes the stage, marsupials with newborns no bigger than a jelly bean, finishing their journey in a pouch. Lines of descent fork and flourish without competition from the usual suspects. Australia writes its own script. Fossils whisper of ancient giants, marsupial lions, thunderbirds, shadows that fade as new forms step forward. Kangaroos bound, wallabies bound. Emus stride the open country. Reptiles bask and wait. The land, shaped by drought and fire, answers with strategies as old as stone and as nimble as a heartbeat. This savanna, spinifex seas shimmering in the heat, bulb silhouettes at dawn. The rules are familiar. Eat, endure, outpace the sun, but the solutions are uniquely Australian. At the edge of dawn, a lone eastern grey kangaroo lifts her head. Sinew and silence. She reads the wind, feels the ground's faint tremor, and commits her weight to the next quiet bound. One survivor among many, tuned to a rhythm from when the continent slipped free. We'll return to her again and again, as the day unfolds and the old experiments are put to the test. Here, on a continent apart, evolution didn't just continue, it improvised. In the north, the year is divided by a single hinge rain, and the waiting for it. Silence presses on the plains. Even the wind seems to hold its breath. A pause, sound drops to nothing. A horizon coughs with heat. Then the sky tears open. Thunder hits. Rain arrives in sheets, drumming corrugations into red earth, stitching silver across the floodplains. Creeks unscroll, billabongs swell, aerial lines ripple outward as water climbs into the hollows and remembers old paths. Life answers instantly. Tadpoles pepper the newly born shallows. Frogs pour from the ground as if the soil itself were singing. Termites raise cathedrals overnight. Insects hatch in shimmering clouds, a living veil above the green. Eucalypts flush. Paperbarks drink deep and loosen their bark like confetti. For a brief moment, paradise. Wallabies graze waist-high in new grasses. Jabiruus wade through mirrored sky, lifting fish from water that wasn't there yesterday. Goannas thread the reed beds. Brolgus dance on the slick. Every waterhole becomes a marketplace. Magpie geese, whistling ducks, dragonflies needling the air. The floodplain breathes, full-lunged and fearless. Time-lapse, brown turned emerald, puddles to inland seas, cloud armies marching and dissolving. The camera lifts, an ocean of green under anvil clouds, light stepping in and out of rain curtains. But the hinge swings back. Days lengthen. Storms retreat to the rim of the world. Heat takes up residence. Waters pull their edges in. Floods settle into pools. Pools into saucers. Saucers into damp stains. Insects thin. Their wings are replaced by the dry creak of branches and the rasp of grass. Aerials again. Ribbons of water shrink to necklaces of dust-ringed beads. Crocodiles lie in the last dark pockets. Wallabies, emus, feral buffalo, all drawn to the same evaporating mirrors. Competition sharpens, patience becomes a strategy, so does theft. The ground opens, cracks ladder the clay, the green ocean recedes to a memory, spinifex brittles, every blade a fuse, paperbark strips hang like tinder. The wind returns with a different voice, dry, sifting, intent. What the rain gives, the fire will take. First a whisper, the faint tick of seed heads, a distant snap. Then a line of heat writes itself across the savanna. Fire moves low and fast, pruning, resetting, feeding on the dry's careful preparations. Smoke climbs to meet the storm anvils that once fed these plains, a handshake between seasons. Animals read the flames the way they read the rain. Kangaroos angle away, unhurried but precise. Insects rise. Raptors gather on the updraft, hunting at the fire's red edge. Even the soil waits, banked with seeds and sleepers, counting the sparks. By night, the last pools hold moonlight and crocodile eyes. By day, the land is a patchwork of ash and gold, black and silver. The wet has written a promise beneath the burn. When the sky breaks again, the cycle recommences, abundance, trial, two strokes of the same heartbeat. And here, on a continent apart, survival is not a single act, but a rhythm. Lightning fingers the savanna. One spark finding 1,000 dry sentences written in grass. Fire here is destiny, not catastrophe. A line of heat becomes a wall. It moves low and fast, faster than paws can gambol, faster than wings can think. Kangaroos angle away. Goannas dive for the cool seam under roots. Echidnas tuck under earth. In the updraft, raptors ride the thermals, hunting at the flame's red lip. Smoke climbs in great columns, stitching ground to sky. The country breathes out its dry. The fire answers, pruning, clearing, setting the table for rain. Whoosh, silence, the kind that feels like held breath. Ash still warm underfoot. Black lace of branches against a rinse blue. Then the first green. Seeds, cued by heat, split and wake. Tiny spears push through charcoal. Eucalypts, scorched to the eye, open secret doors. Epicormic buds flushing lime from beneath their armor. Banksia cones release their hoarded futures. Paperbark bases glow with new leaf, fire-kissed and fearless. Under the ash blanket, sleepers stir. Skinks emerge like quick commas. Burrowers nose fresh edges. Termites begin again. What outran the animals will feed them. What burned will bloom. Here, renewal has a scent. Sweet, mineral, smoky, and a rhythm measured in storms and embers. To live here is to be reborn from ash. They return to the blackened table set by fire. Grass wakes, waterholes shrink. Waterholes swell like lungs. And in the open, the rulers of appetite move. Kangaroos, reading distance the way others read sky. A mob tracks the green seam, never still for long. Every leap is survival mathematics. Energy spent against water found calories burned against grass gained. Tendons coil like springs, spines become bows. They cross country by geometry. Heat climbs. She slows. A mother tastes the day on the inside of her wrist, licks, then lifts it to the breeze, cooling by chemistry a thin river of relief. In her pouch, the joey listens to thunder that isn't weather. Heart footfalls breath. Silence tightens. The mob detonates. Dust arcs, shadows flicker over red earth. She rides the elastic rhythm. The joey tucks deeper, a passenger in a moving fortress of muscle and milk. Across the scrub, wallabies thread the needle, compact zigzag minds in tight country. Out on the flats, emus commit to the horizon, legs like metronomes. Speed is life itself. Here, indecision writes its own epitaph. The wet fattens the plains. She grazes hard, banking for the dry. Milk sweetens, The joey risks a face in the sun, blinks at dragonflies, tests the world with soft fists. Dingoes ghost the edges, eagles measure shadows. She angles away, always away, into wind, towards ground that speaks of shelter. The dry arrives on a whisper that becomes a rasp. Water retreats to memory. Forearms shine with fresh saliva. Her tongue is a map maker, finding veins where heat can be undone. Grass thins. She chooses slope over flat. Better sight lines, fewer ambushes, cooler air by a breath. At night, dew writes mercy on blades. By dawn, it's gone. Hunger knocks first at the pouch. She bargains in biology, pauses growth, then grants it back after rain. To live is to measure. Leap length to predator distance, shade to shade, sip to stride. Emus drum past, eyes like coins, a family stitched in single file. Wallabies vanish between paperbarks, a flicker and then not. All of them nomads, all of them accountants of heat and hunger. When storms rethread the sky, she turns toward the smell of iron and distant thunder. The joey, larger now, tests ground with uncertain springs. Copies the angle, learns the math. Mother leads. Joey follows. The Savanna keeps score. What fire began, their feet continue. Moving, always moving, across a continent that only rewards the ones who do. The dry edits the map. What's left is water. Everything that needs it converges. Scarcity gathers the living. It gathers danger too. At the same blackened table set by fire, a waterhole holds its breath. Perfectly still, yet completely aware. Beneath the skin, an old empire waits. Saltwater crocodile. Scales like stone. Eyes like resting coins. He can fast for months. He can afford patience. Every ripple is an equation he has already solved. The mob reads distance. She reads thirst. The mother edges closer, measure by measure. Joey, a heartbeat tucked in fur. Low waterline. No wind. Insects stitch a thin, hot hum. Here, hesitation lasts only a second. Silence. Impact. Water detonates, tail whips, mud blooms, air turns to knives. The surface becomes teeth and leverage. A leg caught. A world inverted. Thrash. Spin. The river remembers how to kill. Bubbles count down. Dust on the bank rises, then settles. Then stillness again. The pool recloses like a wound. Around the rim, life recalculates. Emus step away. Wallabies dissolve into scrub. A dragonfly writes and unwrites a line. Perfectly still, yet completely aware. At the water's edge, in this ancient country, the price of drinking is paid in seconds. In the wake of thirst and teeth, the rules sharpen. Survival drives extremes. Macro reveals a leaf that breathes, then vanishes. A stick that decides to walk. A mantis that is nobody until it strikes. Fight, flee, deceive, whip pan. A shadow rises, frill explodes, sunlit sail. Mouth wide, hiss burning the air. Rattling percussion answers. Fear becomes a weapon. Footfalls stitched in rustle. A goanna unspools from shade. All patience and purpose. Claws read the bark. Camera rides the trunk up, higher. POV of roughwood and sap. A nest's quiet heartbeat breaks. Eggs taken. Silence folds back over the branches. In the grass, a rope of muscle writes a warning. Venom waits behind measured stillness. Defense coiled in chemistry. Scales mimic dust. Patterns erase edges. A flicker, the landscape swallows its makers. Every tactic is a blade here. Bluff, stealth, speed, poison, armour. Here, every creature is armed. While the surface wages an arms race, the ground keeps a quieter power. Cathedrals rise from red earth. Termite mounds, thousands of them. stone-still cities under a boiling sky. Drone eyes circle, their shadows turn like clock hands. Each wall is a lung. Sun-warmed flanks pull air, cool cores exhale. Perfect thermoregulation, chimneys, vents, living mortar tuned to wind and light. A low hum, as if the soil itself breathes. Pattern interrupt, cross-section, galleries, spiral shafts, nurseries pulsing with humidity, fungus gardens, a royal chamber, then snap back to the real, heat shimmering over clay. Thermal ghosts bloom, warm skins, cool hearts, airflow traced in colour. Architects of the unseen world. Macro dives, soft workers ferry pale beads, soldiers lock doorways with shield heads, mandibles click, subtle code, a chorus of tiny metronomes. The queen swells, an engine wrapped in flesh, laying the future grain by grain. They eat what the savanna drops, dead grass, fallen wood, recycling drought and fire into food. From their work, a river of energy runs outward. Lizards, birds, goannas, echidnas, even soil itself. Burrows oxygenate. Mounds lift seeds to rain. Without them, the web slackens and collapses. In flood heat and dusty wind, they keep the temperature of childhood exact. In fire, their towers endure. Afterward, green licks first at their bases. Some spires point north-south, magnetic, thin faces to the sun, thick to the scorch, a compass written in clay. Beneath every footstep, a city breathes. Beneath every hunt, a pantry hums. This is the engine room of the savanna. Hidden, ancient, tireless, quietly holding the world above, together. Golden hour bleeds into blue. Heat lifts like a curtain. The savanna exhales. Cicadas taper. A cooler breath crosses grass. From the engine rooms of earth, towers cast long spines. Their shadows stretch, then vanish. Vents whisper. New shifts clock in. When the heat fades, the hunters rise, skyline inked with wings, fruit bats river toward figs, silhouettes threading purple air, microbats stitch the dusk, needles sewing sky with sound, soft chitter, distant wing whoosh. Switch to infrared. Bodies bloom like embers on black. Termite swarms sparkle, elates cast from clay cathedrals, mouths find mathematics in the dark. Ground level cools, scales uncoil. A mulga snake slides from shade like poured bronze. A death adder becomes a fallen twig and waits. Geckos ghost along bark, toes whispering on paper skin. Night chorus rises, frogs, insects in a low wind. Above, silence grows muscles. An owl drifts, no wing noise, only intention. Face a satellite dish for whispers, eyes drinking starlight. Pattern interrupt, music cuts. Thump, wing snap, soft sub, impact. The world blinks. A gecko is gone. Sound returns, smaller now. The night remembers to breathe. Waterhole, black glass. Bats skim the skin. Ripples write their names. Eyeshine beads along the far bank, patient, prehistoric. A shape slides, then stills. Snakes read heat trails the way daylight reads tracks. They find the pulse under fur, the heartbeat under feather. Owls redraw the map of terror, line by perfect line. Underfoot, the cities keep their weather. Nurseries, warm gardens wet, while above them the war changes sides. Every note of the chorus is either hunger or prayer. Blue deepens to velvet. Lightning sketches a horizon skull. On the last updraft of day, the savanna swaps its face. Soft-edged, sharper rules. Night is not a pause. It is a transformation. And under this older sky, everything learns to move without being seen. Split screen. Left, country breathing in mosaics of cool black and green. Split screen. Right, a single species of grass lifts a fuse to the wind. Gamba towers chest high, one spark becomes a wall. Climate shifts redraw the calendar. dry stretches longer. Nights hold heat storms, arrive angrier and late. Fires burn hotter, run farther, leave less behind. Edges fray, roads, fences, lights at the horizon. Water pumped, buffers thinned. The old routes of flame and rain get confused. Even the strongest systems can be broken. Cut, counterpoint. Indigenous rangers light cool fires early, slow and low. Drip torch dots weaving safe scars. Helicopters stitch lines. Cattle moved. Fuel knock back crews pull gamba by the root seed. Heads bagged maps updated in real time. Split screen again, altered versus intact. On one side, char to the bones. On the other, patchwork country that still feeds shelters recovers large, unbroken savannas still stretch beyond the roads. A rare chance, still, to protect an engine while it runs. Pattern interrupt. Silence. Will we keep this wild engine running? Communities choose together. Cool burns over hot ones, corridors over cuts, listening over guessing. Small decisions, repeated, scale to a shield. Hope here is practical. Boots. Maps. Matches used wisely. If we get it right, nights will keep transforming. Storms will keep writing the horizon. This ancient land will keep its pulse. Aerial reprise, storm building on the rim of the world. First drops write the dust. Roots remember. Green rises, quick as breath. In the lull, life resets its watch. Heat returns. The fuse is part of the calendar. One spark. Ember lines walk the night. Cleaning, not claiming. Where cool fire is read, not feared. Across seasons, the lesson turns like a wheel. Rain, growth, flame, renewal. Adapt or be edited out. In Australia's Savanna, endurance over dominance. Pattern interrupt, one heartbeat, then calm resolve. Dawn. Smoke softens to mist, tracks stitch the open. The survivors begin again, tougher, quieter, in the land of fire. Only the resilient write their story. Hold, title card end line. Gentle wind carries out, tasteful end sting. In a land older than time itself, where continents remember their past. Similarities and indices, there exists a wilderness shaped not by mercy but by fire. Northern Australia, a savanna where life is forged in extremes. Gases substances such as costas and only the most adaptable survive. This is not Africa. This is something far more ancient.